Yesterday, I was planning on making a video for, the Yankees series. We're 5-1 against the Yankees this season. We just swept them. All these wonderful things. The Red Sox playing the best stretch of baseball this entire year. They look back, they're a game and a half or like a half a game out of the wild card. Yeah, I thought that was the video I was going to post. But, change of plans when I saw a passing bomb of Rafael Devers getting traded to the fucking Giants for a bag of baseballs. Let's just put it that way. It's literally like the same thing with the Luka Doncic trade where I was just like, did passing get hacked? Like, what is going on? Because it makes no sense. How the hell did Devers get traded now? I still can't believe that this trade happened. It's ridiculous. But, I'll explain the details of the trade. So Rafael Devers goes to the San Francisco Giants, and in exchange, Boston receives Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, James Tibbs, and Jose Bayo. And now let me just address their stats. Actually, no, I'll address, what we got in return and their stats right now. I'll put it on the screen too. Jordan Hicks, probably the most well-known player in this trade. He's been a well-known closer. He's been trying to be a starting pitcher recently. That failed in San Francisco. He's back to a reliever, but he's 28 years old and he's 1-5 with a 6.47 ERA. What a great start to this trade. Then we received Kyle Harrison, a failed top prospect, 23 years old. 4 games started, has a 1-1 record with a 4.56 ERA. And as soon as he got to Boston, you know what Andrew Bailey and Craig Breslow decided? Yeah, we're going to put him in AAA Worcester. Awesome stuff. Completely awesome. He was going to pitch in the Sunday Night Baseball game against the Dodgers. Got scratched right away. And yeah, now he's in fucking Worcester pitching for the Woo Sox. Awesome. Originally, the best part about this trade was it was originally just going to be Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, and players to be named later. They were going to not address anything. I was hoping Bryce Eldridge because it makes a lot of sense and this trade would have been a little bit better. But obviously he's not included in this deal, but it would have made sense. We need a first baseman right now. Tristan Casas is injured, although Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez has been playing pretty well. I mean, Bryce Eldridge would have been fucking sick, but no, we get James Tibbs. And you know what? Guess what position he plays? Outfield, we need another outfielder to address, We not only do we have Jaron Duran, Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu, Cedane Rafaela, Ref Schneider, which, yeah, sure, I'll name him in there. We also have the password in Worcester too, so yeah, James Tibbs. Are we improving Worcester or what is going on with this trade? And then Jose Bayo, he's pitching in rookie ball right now. He has a 2 ERA right now. Whoop-de-doo. Maybe he'll pitch in 2032. I don't know, but yeah, those are the 4 players we got for Rafael Devers, who is likely going to be the starting DH in the All-Star game this year. Not only is he a perennial All-Star, but he's also the face of the franchise, the last player on the 2018 Red Sox. So I guess according to reports, so we'll get into actually the details of the trade, because on hindsight, how this trade on surface level looks, it's awful. It's just completely stupid. You're giving up a top 30, I'd probably say a top 35 player in all of Major League Baseball, randomly. The Red Sox, Devers just hit a home run in Fenway Park against the Yankees today. And now he's in fucking San Francisco. Make it make sense. I don't know. But yeah, Rafael Devers. A reason as to why this trade has happened is in regards to his clash with Craig Breslow and obviously Devers. They obviously have a clash. We've seen this since last offseason, or this offseason with Alex Bregman being signed to this team and the whole position drama and everything like that. Breslow brings in Alex Bregman to address the fielding and everything like that. Devers didn't like that. He didn't want to be left on third base, so they moved him to designated hitter. He finally agreed on that happening. And then once Tristan Casas got injured, Breslow asked Devers if he wanted to play first base. And not only did Devers say no, but he completely just buried Breslow. The comments that he said in regards to that, literally when they went to Kansas City, John Henry had to come down. Almost every single executive in the Red Sox, including their owner, had to talk to him about all this stuff and everything. So it was just not a good look, and just there was a lot of drama going on at that time. I partly get it on Devers' part, to not want to play first base considering the numbers he was putting up at DH at that point. Like, he was in contention to be May Player of the Year in the American League. Like, he was going off, and he was easily the best player, the best hitter in the lineup for the Red Sox. But yeah, I mean, just clearly there's a conflict between Devers and Breslow, and despite Devers not requesting a trade, it seemed like Devers was open to being dealt off this team, and Breslow also seemed like he was open to taking Devers off that team. And it just so happened that the San Francisco Giants just randomly asked, what's Rafael Devers like? What's going on with him? And, one thing led to another, and we traded him for fucking Jordan Hicks, and I can't even remember the next two guys. I know Tibbs, but, that's about it for him. Twitter is actually going crazy right now. Like, every single person, every single Red Sox executive, literally every single Red Sox personality on Twitter, and people who cover the Red Sox, like, everyone is in disbelief of what happened. Like, even David Ortiz, David Ortiz is literally saying, he literally says, I don't think I could hate the Red Sox any more than I do right now. When we have David Ortiz saying that in regards to this trade, like, that is ridiculous. And, there's going to be a lot of backlash with Craig Breslow. I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet of his address getting leaked, which that's, Boston fans are crazy like that. So, having these types of deals, like, fuck, dude, it's actually insane. And yeah, as of right now, I'm reading more, things into it. I found an interesting tweet from Tom Caron. He goes, I kind of was talking about this before with, John Henry coming to Kansas City to talk to Rafael Devers. And during that time, it felt like there was like a breaking point, especially with, John Henry, seeing Rafael Devers right then and there, to talk about like the situation of him, making comments to Craig Breslow, who's pretty much, John Henry's puppet. But regardless, it just seemed like John Henry was rubbed the wrong way from this interaction, and this kind of became a tipping point in the situation. So again, it didn't seem like Rafael Devers was interested in being traded, but it also felt like, especially with John Henry, let's be real, I felt like this decision could be more, I wouldn't say talked about, but I felt like this, trade can also be blamed on John Henry in this situation, because at the end of the day, he is giving his money to Rafael Devers, and if he isn't going to respect the owner who is giving Devers the money, then he's gonna fucking send you to the KBO, for God's sakes. Things like that. So definitely more so of a factor, but at the same time, Craig Breslow is the guy that takes on these situations head on. So as much as it is Craig Breslow who made the trade, I definitely do believe John Henry is a major factor into why Rafael Devers is not with the team anymore. No way. Tanner Houck is now the longest tenured Red Sox player. Just let that sink in. That is embarrassing. Again, this kind of goes back, regardless of Rafael Devers, regardless of, the conflict and the rift that is going on between Devers not wanting to play first base, or just like everything that has been going on this season with him, was it really worth trading him? That's like the thing that I'm thinking about at this point. And, I see it one way and I see it another way, but when it comes to the Red Sox, like, I understand it, I guess, maybe if I'm like a small market team, but the thing is, the Red Sox are playing like a small market team at this point. Like, they're being very cheap with their money right now. Like, look at the contracts they've made at this point. Like, obviously they were acquiring players over this deadline, but at the same time, a lot of these contracts aren't, solidified things. Like, for example, Alex Bregman has an opt-out at the end of the year. There's a chance he never plays in a Red Sox uniform after this year. And then guys like Walker Buehler, I know it's a sexy name, but at the same time, he's only getting paid $21 million for 1 year. So, it's money, but at the same time, it's not long-term money that John Henry's spending out. Like, I'm not, tapped into soccer or like Premier League or things like that. I know John Henry owns Liverpool, and I know he's like a part-time owner and things like that. I guess he's been spending money around there. He just has a bunch of teams that he's buying. I know, or he has ownership too. For example, the Pittsburgh Penguins. things like that. So it seems like John Henry's interest is not with the Red Sox right now, and it sucks. And it's been like that for a couple years now. So, deals like this, it makes fans, and it makes, people realize that as much as the Red Sox are doing all these things, and that they're, looking like they want to contend, when it comes to the money and things like that, it seems like it isn't. And, with moves like this, with Craig Breslow, making these decisions and things like that, and just like the way he goes about things, it just seems like he's just the guy that's, people have been talking about this before, but like him being like this puppet and things like that. So, it just sucks, man. For a prestigious franchise like the Red Sox, you want to have your best players retire in the same uniform. And for a guy like Rafael Devers, at least in my expectations, I thought he would retire in a Red Sox uniform. So, seeing these types of trades, especially like during the middle of June, like it's Father's Day. The dude just hit a home run today. Again, I'll kind of play devil's advocate because I do kind of understand the move a little bit, but at the same time, the timing is awful on this. Like, if they were to really trade him, it should have been, spring training when he was bitching and moaning about, not wanting to play the designated hitter, when it would have, helped out his team and things like that. But no, we're here in June on Father's Day, and Rafael Devers just got traded to the Giants out of all teams. Like, it's just, this team takes one step forward, they're taking 3 steps back. It's insane. It seems like, from the logic of Craig Breslow and John Henry, because I am including John Henry into this discussion, because at the end of the day, again, as I was saying before, he's the guy that pays Rafael Devers the money. It felt like they just did not want to deal with the headache that was Rafael Devers, his situations of, not playing in the field and everything like that. I might be sounding like a broken record, but, I'm trying to make it make sense in the eyes of Craig Breslow for a little bit, because as much as I don't, like this trade, I hate this trade, there's a little bit of light out of the tunnel. I'm going to be a little bit optimistic at the end of the day. But, if they didn't want to deal with the headache that is Rafael Devers and all the drama and all the, things like him not wanting to be a leader, things like that, considering the amount of money he's being paid, which is $330 million for, another 8 years for the Red Sox, if it isn't going to get better, if he's just wanting to stay as a designated hitter, then fine, we'll let another team take on that contract. In that aspect, I do understand it a little bit, because $330 million for a player is extremely expensive. I know, again, we're the Boston Red Sox, but if we're not getting our money's worth, and if that money is coming with complications where, originally when Rafael Devers signed this contract, people expected him to be the third baseman, at least for the time being. But, now he's just a glorified designated hitter, and it seems like he's going to stay like that at this point. So, at least we get $330 million off the books. I guess that's the one silver lining out of all of this. It does address the logjam that is the Red Sox lineup right now. I was going to make a video about, the dilemmas of all that, but at this point I have to scrap the video now because of this trade. Taking Devers out of the lineup now, it gives the Red Sox a lot more flexibility in the lineup. Masataka Yoshida is back, I guess. At least hopefully, but he should be at least playing designated hitter now. But I have no idea what they're going to do with that now. But I guess the expectation, or at least what I would probably do if I'm the Red Sox with, designated hitter, is, we give Masataka Yoshida, and we can give, players like Rob Refsnyder, we can have them platoon, or, guys like Romy Gonzalez, if we're going to still, make that route. There's a lot of things we can do with the lineup. With this lineup right now and everything like that, it doesn't matter, because Alex Bregman is still gone, and, things like that, and just trading him now is just terrible. And the return that we got for that, I don't even care, how they perform, and I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty with that. I see the ERAs that these guys have. You'd want to get more for a guy like Rafael Devers, and clearly that's just not the case. A crazy season for the Red Sox just gets even more crazier with this trade. It just completely derails this entire team, this entire, season for them. It genuinely feels like the Luka Doncic trade. In the long term, maybe this contract looks a little bit better and, maybe underperforms on the later, stages of this contract when he's with the Giants. But at the same time, when you look at this team right now and you just look at, the resume that Rafael Devers has with Boston and, his entire history with this team, it just makes no sense to trade him. I get the rumors, I get, the drama, I get him not wanting to play first and, that whole thing that's going on. It honestly feels like the ownership and John Henry is wanting to, try to prove a point. They're letting their ego aside and they're deciding to pull the plug and, make a message to this team. Whereas if you're going to disrespect me, if you're going to disrespect the guys in my front office that I decide to hire, then you can go fucking kick rocks and do this. So it just sucks though. It's ridiculous that, something like this happened. So yeah, that's all I got.